Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the night crew. Good to see everybody again. Tonight we got Apostle Tamala Lucas here with me, and we're ready to talk about some news and current events. It looks like everybody else has jumped ship for tonight, so we're ready, right, Tamala?
Yep, we're ready.
All right, here we go. Health crisis in Gaza intensifies as Israel deepens its genocidal attack. The healthcare crisis in Gaza has grown more catastrophic as a result of the continued shelling by the Israel Defense Forces. A grotesque contradiction in nomenclature of the 140 square mile enclave that is home to 2.3 million people. Approximately 1.7 million Palestinians, three-quarters of the population of Gaza, have been internally displaced without adequate shelter, water, or food, or access to medical treatment. According to World Health Organization report published on November 8, nearly 725,000 people had by then sought refuge at 149 United Nations Relief and Works Agency facilities. Another 122,000 were sheltering in hospitals, churches, and other public buildings. Approximately 131,000 were being kept at 94 non-UNRWA schools, and the remainder with host families. Clearly, the targeting of hospitals, mosques, and schools is intended both to terrorize the remaining population and to inflict as much damage as possible wherever large numbers of civilians are gathered to avoid attack from weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, it's definitely a crisis over there, a healthcare crisis, and any other kind of crisis you can think of. I think today was the last day of the ceasefire, or tomorrow, I'm not sure which it is, but that's helped a little bit, allowing more trucks in to bring food and water and gas and things like that. So that's good. But yeah, Netanyahu is clearly targeting the hospitals and places where there's a lot of people. He kind of reminds me of Putin, he's just, I don't know, it's on a smaller scale, but maybe Putin is his hero. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I've been watching different stories and different point of views from people all over the world just to see what they have to say about what's going on over there. And they had different kind of information over the years, how it's kind of deep what's going on, because they said even though they are fighting Gaza right now, they've been targeting other groups of people for years. The only difference is Gaza is fighting back. Everybody else is quiet. So when I was listening to the other issues out there, I'm trying to be careful with what I say, because a lot of people saying that the Jewish leader and the United States together is going around bullying people all over the world. So that's the report that's out. And I was listening to this one guy from Mexico, and he was saying that when it came to their leader, what they did, they got rid of him and put a different leader in that no one liked. No one didn't vote him in, and he's in there because of the Jewish leader in the United States placed him there. And so I know weeks ago I kept on saying it's like a chess game, and they moving people around according to how they want things to happen. And so the only difference between all the other people who have been targeted, the other people are quiet, but Gaza is actually fighting back. And that's the difference. because Gaza said, I might be small, but I'm not taking this. And so when they, sent their bombs over there, they made a big thing. Oh my goodness, what's going on? It's a war going on. But everybody else who was attacked, they didn't get bombs. They didn't, they didn't send anything over there to say, I'm not putting up with this. They was quiet. So that's a big difference. So I'm listening to all this is going on. And it's kind of sad because Gaza is small compared to Israel.
Oh yeah.
Israel is just huge, mass land. It has more soldiers, more weapons, more everything. And it's like, if you really don't like those people, what you could have done, if you really want to act like you really care, what you could have done, you could have got buses and you could have placed all those people on the bus and move them to a different area. It's
Yeah.
killing them because you're killing innocent people. And then I heard different reports saying that when they went inside the hospital, they couldn't even find Hamas. They couldn't even find some of the weapons. So it's like, if you know there wasn't no weapons and Hamas in there, you're just killing people just to be killing them.
Yeah. Kind of reminds you of us blaming Saddam Hussein for having the weapons that he didn't have in Iraq. Remember that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, that's a scary situation, and I fear that Iran's going to be jumping into it. And if Iran, well, they're already supplying, weapons to Hamas and Hezbollah, but if they get into it more and the United States gets into it more, then there's no turning back at that point.
Yeah, there's no turning back because what people fail to realize, we say Iran and we say Gaza, but there's a whole bunch of countries that is Muslim. And
Yeah,
so, we looking at different places, but we're not understanding how many places support the Muslim.
yeah,
So you attack one, you attack all, and that's what a lot of them are saying. And so we have to be careful because we a lot of people is quick to say things, but we have to get all the information. We have to do our research and see what's really going on,
yeah,
and don't assume and don't accept, certain news, because one thing I found over the years of looking at different history and stuff, when somebody wants you to look bad, they're going to tell their point of view. They're not going to tell you all of the different topics that's really, really going on. So, yeah, it's crazy.
well, hopefully it's worse.
Right.
All right. Next on Rolling Stones announced 2024 North American tour dates. As expected, Rolling Stones have announced they're going back on the road in 2024 behind the recently released Hackney Diamonds album. The group, led by core members Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ron Wood, will perform in 16 cities across the United States and Canada, playing a combination of classics, deep cuts, and songs from the new album, according to the announcement. The tour, which launches on April 28 and wraps up on July 17, is promoted by AEG Presents Concerts West. Fittingly enough, the tour is sponsored by AARP, the long-running U.S. interest group focusing on issues affecting people over the age of 50. Tickets are currently available on StubHub and Bidded Seats. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with the Rolling Stones, but they're in around 80 years old now, and they have never stopped touring. I mean, they've been together since the 60s. and had numerous hits, numerous albums, and it's amazing that they're still able to do anything. But and they're still selling. They're still reaching the young market. Kids actually buying their music, and that's amazing to me. I'm just impressed that they're still doing it. So I'm happy for them. You know, what do you think?
Um, when Taylor Swift came out with her concert and Kentucky just went wild and crazy, everything was packed, everything was full. The government said, "Oh, people got money." You know, people crying and saying they don't have money, but now all these concerts is popping up. So you had Taylor Smith and Beyonce, and now the Rolling Stones, and so everybody's trying to jump in. A lot of people are having tours now because at first we had a slowdown because of the shutdown. So now people say, "Oh, okay, you know, a lot of people was crying, said they didn't have money, they couldn't find a job, but somebody got some money because they they you having all these concerts. So um, if people want to see Rolling Stones, hey, and like you said, they in their 80s. So if people want to see them, and it's their money, it's their money."
Yeah, I'm happy for them. All righty, let's see what's next. The polls keep getting worse for Biden. President Joe Biden's poll numbers keep getting worse. November started with New York Times saying a college polls showing Trump ahead in 4 of the 6 swing states. But more indicators of Biden's electoral peril soon followed. The president's standing in head-to-head matchups with Trump is falling. Among the latest surveys this month from 13 separate pollsters, Biden's position is worse than the previous polls in all but 2 of them. Meanwhile, Trump's average favorable rating has actually been steadily increasing over the past 2 months, rising from 39% on September 1 to 42% as of Wednesday afternoon, according to 538. You know, those aren't good statistics for either one of them, but you know, it's the sad part is it looks like it's going to be Trump and Biden again running in the final show. And neither one of them are qualified. They both have been lousy presidents, and Biden's already over 80, and Trump would be over 80 by the time he's finished his 4 years. And I think it's time for him to just kind of let somebody else younger get in there. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think, some people say there shouldn't be an age limit, but when it comes to being a president, I think there should be a cutoff. I think after 65, people should just go and, enjoy life. Go travel and enjoy life and let somebody younger get in there. Not too young, but somebody with experience. And when I was growing up, I just knew that in order to be a president, you have to at least know something about the government, know something about the Constitution.
It'd be nice.
Like anybody can, and then now you have all these news reports saying that you're gonna be a prisoner and still be a president. Like how? Like a lot of people when they get out of jail, they're not even allowed to vote. So how are you able to be a president? I mean, I just don't understand that. And I'm like this, I said it before. If you're going to allow Trump to be president, then we need to let all the prisoners out because that is so unfair, so unfair. And the stuff that he is getting away with, no one else could ever get away with what Trump is getting away with. They keep on saying gag and they keep on saying be quiet and don't do this and don't do it. And he do it anyway. And he said, it's a witch hunt, it's a witch hunt. They after me. And people say, okay, we're going to stand with you. We understand they're trying to attack you. We're with you. And it's like no one wants to correct him. It's like that child that keeps on touching the stove. And you say, okay, don't do that. Your finger's going to get burnt. Oh, just leave him alone. They learning. When is somebody going to stand up and say, enough is enough? When is somebody going to say, you know what? You need to grow up. You're too old for this. You're too old for this. You're sitting there, you're crying, and you talking about it's a witch hunt, and they after you. But you're not taking responsibility. And it doesn't matter how much proof they have. It doesn't matter if he didn't pay his taxes. And that's what gets me. There's so many celebrities that have got arrested and went to jail because they didn't pay the government. But this man, they have known for years he has not paid. And when he was a president, they asked him to give proof of his taxes and income and all that stuff. And he didn't give it to him. He said, I don't have to give you anything. And they allow him to do that. But they won't allow anybody else. And let me owe the IRS. I'm going to be under the jail. So, the things that they allow him to get away with is so unfair. And he knows it. But he keeps on saying, it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. And it's sad how people take up for him. And no one has said anything against him. And they're probably not going to because he knows their dirt. See, one thing about him, he was intelligent enough to hang around all of them to find out what their dirt is. So yeah, they're not gonna go against him because they already know if they go against him, woo, he gonna put all their business out there on Front Street.
And he makes rules. He seems to do well with that. The Republicans keep voting for him. So must be nice, huh?
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of Trump, Donald Trump trashes Steve Jobs' widow. Yeah, that sounds like him. Donald Trump has targeted billionaire philanthropist Laurene Powell Jobs, the widow of Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, over the Atlantic. The former president took aim at the magazine, which Powell Jobs' company owns a majority stake in a post on his Truth Social platform on Saturday. It's so good to see how badly the third-rate magazine, The Atlantic, is doing. Trump, who is leading the race for the Republican presidential nomination, wrote, it's failing at a level seldom seen before, even in the publishing business. False and fake stories do it every time. Trump did not specify which article in the magazine had prompted his statement, but Peter Werner, a Trump critic who served in the administrations of 3 Republican presidents, wrote an op-ed earlier this week that described Trump's rhetoric as clearly fascistic and noting that he is becoming frighteningly clear about what he wants. Werner also criticized Christians who support Trump in the piece, saying they are not only betraying their humanity, they are betraying the Lord they claim to love and serve. This is typical Trump. I mean, it's no surprise. But this last paragraph, it kind of stood out to me because I agree. I don't see how people who claim to be Christians can be for Trump. To me, so many of us have called him the Antichrist. I've done it. Lamar does it. Michael does it. It's, you know, a lot of people look at it that way. I mean, there is nothing Christ-like in this man, but so many right-wing Christians think that he is just wonderful. I do not get that. I don't get it. Do you?
The scary part is there are some people that I have actually seen on YouTube. When you start watching all different kind of people, because sometimes we get so used to listen to people who are agree with us. But what I do, I watch people who don't agree with me just to see what they're saying.
Yeah.
And a lot of them out there who are on Trump's side, they truly believe that the Bible was set up where people are supposed to be slaves and supposed to be beneath them. And they use that verse where it says, um, obey those who have rule over you. And then there's other scriptures in the Bible where it talks about slaves, you know, listening to their masters and stuff like that. And a lot of these people take this stuff serious. And so they're trying to turn back the clock. And a lot of people say that's not what they're trying to do, but they are. And so one time Trump was talking in the audience, and I guess the black guy said something. I don't know. All I seen was people grabbed him and threw him out the stadium. And I heard the words that Trump said. Trump said, you know, back in the day, that would not have happened. Back in the day. And I'm sitting there like, what? And he said, make America good again. Well, people from the black culture, Asian culture, Pacific Island culture, Native American culture, it was never good for us. If we are honest. And that's why they're trying to take history out of school, because they don't want our children to know how bad America was.
And
Yeah, they don't want, like when the Japanese came, they was working on the railroad, but they was not considered a people when they came. When you read about slavery, they said United States was the worst when it came to slavery. United States was worse than all the other slave masters. That because a lot of people had slaves, but when it came to the United States, it was worse here.
Yeah.
And then the lynching, if people are honest, because a lot of people want to close their eyes. When Trump was in office, a lot of people were lynched. And when I talk about this, people say, oh, no, you talking about back in the day. I said, no, I'm not. I said, you have to look it up. There was people hanging from bridges, trees, playgrounds when he was in office. And the sad part, lynching a law did not pass until last year. It was against the law to lynch people in 2022. So when Donald Trump says stuff like this and people laugh at him and say, oh, he's just joking, I don't consider that as a joke. And here is this woman, she's a widow. She's already hurt. She lost her husband and she just wants peace. And why would you attack somebody? You in his head, he thinks he's the only one who's supposed to talk. He's the only one who's supposed to say anything. No one is supposed to say anything but him. And if this is her magazine and she's supposed to have freedom of speech, let her have freedom of speech. But you're getting mad at her because her magazine says something about you. I'm pretty sure you're not the only person she's talking about in her magazine. But to attack her, that's not right.
No. Well, he attacks somebody that disagrees with him, that's for sure. And he is a big bully, to say the least. All right, here goes the last story. And, well, let me read it. Derek Chauvin has been stabbed in a federal prison. And I confess before I read this, Tamala, when I first read that, I said, yay. And then I felt bad about it. I thought, no, I shouldn't be celebrating that. But, in his case, that kind of couldn't help it. Anyway, Derek Chauvin, a former police officer who was convicted of murdering George Floyd, was seriously injured after being stabbed at a federal prison in Arizona on Friday. The Office of Minnesota's Attorney General confirmed in an email to Time. The office's spokesperson, Brian Evans, told Time that Chauvin was stabbed and is likely to survive. I'm sad to hear that Derek Chauvin was a target of violence, Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison said in an email statement. He was duly convicted of his crimes, and like any incarcerated individual, he should be able to serve his sentence without fear of retaliation or violence. Chauvin is serving 2 sentences for murdering Floyd and violating his civil rights after being caught on camera in 2020, kneeling on the handcuffed man's neck for more than 9 minutes as Floyd repeated that he couldn't breathe. And now, as I read that for the first time, I admit I did. I said, yay. And then I kind of felt bad about saying that because it's sad that any human being gets stabbed. Of course, I don't like to see that happen. But in this case, I'm thinking, well, he's lucky that's all that's happened to him in prison. I'm sure he's not a very popular guy. And I doubt very seriously that he will live long enough to serve his full sentence. He's just not somebody that I have sympathy for. And I'm thinking you probably agree with that.
And if it was not for that video, he would have gotten away with that.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. A lot of times when we do have video, a lot of these cops still get away with things. I think it was a guy up here in Ohio. I'm not for sure. The police was trying to arrest him, and he said, "No, you're not arresting me today." And so he walked to his car, opened the car door, and they shot him in his back, I think 7 times. And now he's paralyzed. Not one officer went to jail because they justified and said he had no business walking away from the police. Yeah. So that's what we get. So even with video and to see the injustice, some people get away with and some people don't. So it's very rare for a officer to get arrested after they have murdered somebody. And to see that he was arrested, a lot of people say about time, but it's just, but the sad part is rare. And so he is in there, and I'm shocked that he's in the general population. Sometimes when officers get arrested, they put them in a certain area, but he's in the general population. So he must not have had a good lawyer.
Somebody will kill him.
Yeah, they will, because he's in a general population, and jail is not glorious. I did a little TikTok about this, and I was trying to warn children, because I did go to school for drug addiction counseling and criminal justice, and I'm trying to warn. Jail is, we watch movies and people try to make, jail fun and but it's not. And so jail is a scary place, especially when you're in there, and if you don't have officers in there that actually gonna protect you, yeah, it's not a good place to be. And so this man has no telling all that he has gotten away with.
Yeah.
The years he has been an officer. He just happened to get caught this time. And And then they had the nerve when this happened, they had a nerve to get mad at the girl who videotaped it and put it on all different social media. First of all, she had the right to do that. So they have passed a law in a lot of states that if you see police doing something, you're not allowed to videotape it. Why not? Why can't we videotape the injustice?
Yeah.
If we haven't had this, we would not have known what had happened to George Floyd. We would, and just last week, a report went out how this mother kept on saying, "My son is missing, my son is missing," and this is Mississippi. "My son is missing, my son is missing," and I knew they wanted her to be quiet, but she didn't. She kept on saying, "My son is missing," and somebody was listening to her and they helped her and they found out a lot of the cops, a lot of cops were killing a lot of the black people down there in Mississippi and burying them, putting numbers, talking about we don't know who these people are. And so when they dug up the grave, they found her son. And they had the nerve to say, "Well, we didn't know that was your son because he didn't have any identity, but in his pocket, his ID was in his pocket." So they knew who he was. So now Al Sharpton is like, okay, we need to investigate this. And you know they want Al Sharpton to be quiet because but that's what's going on. A lot of these cops, they do things and they keep on doing things because they can get away with it. No one has corrected them. No one has come against them. No one has said stop. So this
Protect
again, yeah,
for each other. Yeah.
they sure do. They always say protect the blue
Yeah.
and don't go against the blue.
Yeah.
Well, if you're wrong, you're wrong. And so, for him to do this in broad daylight, he had no conscience. He had no conscience. So that means he has done this. He has murdered a lot of people that we probably will never know who he has murdered.
Yeah. He thought it would be okay.
Right.
And if Trump gets reelected, that kind of thing's going to get so much worse. It's going to be like a license for them to kill. And they know it. They know it.
They know that's why they want him in office.
Yeah.
They want him in office because when people say you should say something against the Proud Boys, he said, "No, I'm so happy for them." What? They ran, they ran,
Stand by.
yeah,
I said, yeah.
they ran a group of people down with
Yeah.
their car. So yeah, that's why they want him in office so he can support them.
Yeah. Well, let's hope and pray he don't get back in there.
And one thing about God, God is so awesome because I'm reading through the whole Bible because God told me to read through the whole Bible and all the different evil kings and stuff like that. And God always has somebody bigger and better than the person. So even though Trump is doing all this, we don't know what God's plan is because if he do get back in there, we don't know what God's plan is because the only person who can take him down is God. And so we just place him in the Lord's hand. We place Biden in the Lord's hand. And we just don't know what's going to happen next, but God is in control. He knows all things and everything. And I just look at it and I always tell people, be encouraged and, have a relationship with God. Pray. And so God can tell you what to do and how to do and how to survive. Because even Jeremiah, even though he was a prophet and he told the people ahead of time, we are about to go into captivity. And they, "Oh, be quiet, Jeremiah. There you go again. Oh, we don't want to hear you. You never say anything nice. Just shut up and be quiet." And then when they went into captivity, Jeremiah could have said, "I told you so," but he didn't because he had to suffer with them. But in his suffering, he said, we're going to learn how to have a relationship with God. And so I'm here to encourage people, no matter who is in office next, we have to have a relationship with God and know that God loves us and He has equipped us for this time. He knew what year we was going to come on this earth, and He knew what we was going to endure and encounter. And so if we just get closer to God, He will give us the strength to endure whatever we have to endure and go through, because we have to know each battle that we face, somebody's going through something worse than us. So I'm here to encourage you.
There you go. Well, we've covered all our 5 topics. We didn't realize we were going to be doing it all by ourselves, so we did take long. Go ahead and tell everybody what you're into and what you're going to be doing in the future.
All right. Right now, I'm teaching different classes, of course, based on the Bible to encourage my leaders how to be more equipped for this world and how to reach more people. I'm also taking classes to better myself and how to be a better leader. Also, I have books out there on Amazon and Walmart and Barnes and Noble. All you gotta do is type my first and last name to see the books. I have some other books that have not been published yet, but they are finished, but I have not published them. Also, I am a gospel songwriter and singer. I have one single out called When I Was Nothing, God Loved Me. So right now I'm working on my music to get more gospel music out there. So I'm learning. I'm asking God to show me how to do this by myself because I've been asking for help. And so I'm very busy. And I'm so excited because they always say when you're not busy, that's the devil's workshop. So I am very busy, and I just try to stay positive and try to encourage people. So I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and to talk to you with the different subjects.
All right, be here. And my books are available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and all the other leading bookstores. So check them out. And thanks everybody for tuning in tonight to the Night Crew. And thank you, Apostle Tamala, for being here with me. And hope to see you again soon. Have a great week. And everybody out there, have a great week. God bless. And stay out of trouble. Take care of yourself and each other. Good night.